Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Naman and you are tuned into my podcast Real Talk with Nat. We are on episode 4 already. Not sure where the last few weeks have gone, but before I continue and get into today's episode, I just want to thank you all so much for everyone who has been tuning in, who's been supporting, who's been listening, watching on YouTube, just sharing on social media. Honestly, like starting a new podcast is scary, and as I've said a million times on my Instagram stories and just to anyone I've spoken to, I've been absolutely winging it. And yeah, it's just been amazing to have such amazing feedback in such a short period of time. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, firstly, before I continue. So today's episode is all about staying on track during the festive season. Now, this information which I'm going to give you guys today is actually information that I've shared with my clients over the last kind of 4 or 5 years. Every time this time of year comes around, I would usually do a webinar or some sort of online session with my clients where we dig into all of this stuff. And it's just been a really, really great thing to do because so many people get to this time of year and everyone just kind of loses their mind a little bit. It's like we're going out here, we're going out there, we're eating here, we're drinking there. Gym workouts get pushed to the side, but all of that only happens if you let it. And it's really, really important to just have a plan in place so that doesn't happen, and that's so that you can actually stay on track and not totally let your goals fly off the handle whilst still having a good time. So we are almost halfway through November. When I release this episode, we'll be roughly halfway through November. So we're not officially in the festive season yet, but we are absolutely almost there. And I know that the festivities have started for a lot of people already. So from now, really, things are going to start getting really, really busy in all of our lives, busier than usual. Okay, lots of things happening, having to juggle a lot of things at the same time. And I'm going to use this next kind of 45 minutes or so just to kind of give you my top tips on making sure that your mind, your body and your wellness goals not only survive during this festive season, but thrive. So as the end of November and December unfolds, many often find themselves stuck in a bit of a rut, being merry, living their best lives, and, torn between that and actually sticking to their health and wellness goals and sticking to their business goals and sticking to all the things that they've been working for the majority of the year, a lot of people, on doing and being successful with. And then it gets to this time of year and everyone's like, oh, I'm not really sure what I'm meant to be doing right now because there's so much going on and it's all feeling a little bit crazy. And actually balancing those two things, balancing being festive, being joyful, having a good time, having fun with our friends, and, focusing on our goals and going to the gym and doing our mindset work and journaling and reading and all those things which we know that we should be doing, meditation, all those things which are going to keep our mindset in check. We just get to a bit of a point where we don't really know whether we're coming or going with all of that stuff, because finding that balance at this time of year is particularly challenging. So I'm here to help you navigate through that challenging time, and I'm going to give you just my top tips, my tools, my techniques, the things which I believe are the most important to master at this time of year, okay, so that you can do it all. Because those of you who know me well know that I am really all about balance. I've never been one of those personal trainers who's like, you have to cut out this, you can't do this, you can't do that, because that is not sustainable living and that is not sustainable results. Anything where you have to totally cut out the things that you truly love, that you really enjoy. If you have to ever cut any of those things out, you'll have short-term results. You might have some great short-term results, but very quickly things will begin to unfold and you're going to be stuck in even a worse situation. So I'm here to help you figure out that balance, and we're going to cover a few different things in today's episode. So we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting, so some specific goal setting towards the end of this year. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I do want to do another episode at the end of the year specifically on this, but we're going to touch on it. We're also going to talk a little bit about exercise and being active. We're going to touch on our food, our nutrition, strategies around that, and strategies around managing alcohol as well, and just our overall mindset, okay? Because as we all know by now, hopefully, if you've been listening to the first few episodes, our mindset literally is the key to everything. Okay, so we're going to start just by thinking about our goals, and I want you specifically to think of the next 8 weeks. Okay, so that's going to bring us through to around the first, second week of January. And I've deliberately chosen that 8 weeks because I want you to go through Christmas, through New Year, and take yourself into the new year. Take yourself into 2025. And I want you to just think about how you want to feel during that time. How do you want to feel during that time? And how do you want to feel in that time? So in 8 weeks' time, how do you want to feel? So I want you to fast forward in your mind. And I want you to just really, really think about how you want to feel in 8 weeks' time. So beginning of January 2025, how do you want to be feeling? Because however you want to be feeling, it's going to be your action steps that you need to take between now and then. They're going to get you to feeling that particular way. Do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel energized? Do you want to feel accomplished? You know, how do you truly, truly want to feel in 8 weeks' time? Do you want to feel strong mentally? Do you want to feel strong physically? Do you want to feel confident? Okay, so just have a little think about that. And then once you've figured out that, I want you to just now start thinking about, right, what action steps do you need to take to get you to that point? Because it's so important to just get really clear on your goals, no matter how big they are, how small you think they are, no matter what they are. Because unless we know what we want and unless we know where we are going, it's impossible to navigate the correct decisions, the correct actions, the things that we need to do to get us to that place. So whatever your goals are, not right this second, but after you've listened to this podcast, I want you to go away and I want you to just make a few notes. And I want you to really think about what those goals are and what action steps you need to take to feel the way that you want to feel in 8 weeks' time. Okay, so spend some time on that. If you're somebody that wants to feel strong physically in 8 weeks' time, you're going to have to start figuring out, okay, well, I need to make sure I implement X, Y, and Z into my workouts. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And you need to really figure out exactly what you need to be doing in the gym, on that reformer bed, going out for those walks, you know, whatever it is, lifting those weights, whatever you want to be doing, you need to figure out exactly how and when you need to be doing that between now and 8 weeks' time. If you're somebody who wants to feel strong mentally in 8 weeks' time, you're going to have to start really emphasizing and putting even more commitment into your mindset work and your mindfulness and all those things which you know you need to do, which I can help you with, by the way. If anyone needs any, additional support on that, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. All my details are on all my platforms. So feel free to reach out to me if you do need any support with that. But specifically during the festive season, you're going to have to put even more effort in than usual because you're going to be more distracted than usual. So you really have to manage your time in a really, really efficient way. Now, time management is a whole other topic. What I really love to do is literally block out time blocks in my phone. Now, I don't know about you, but if it's not in my phone, it doesn't happen. I literally put every single thing in my phone. I do have a physical diary as well, but I'm not really consistent with it. That's still one thing which I'm trying to be consistent with after many, many, many years, but I am consistent with my phone. So figure out what form of management in terms of organization and time management, what works best for you? Does putting stuff in your phone work best for you, or does having a physical diary work best for you? Whatever works best for you, do that, and make sure you are blocking out that time to do those things. And always make sure as well, when you're doing your time blocking, say you want to go to the gym and you want to get an hour's workout in, you also need to remember that you need to factor in the time it takes to get to the gym, the time that it takes to get back from the gym, anything that you're doing in and around that. Do you need to stop at the petrol station? Do you need to, there could be anything. Do you need to pick someone up on the way, drop someone off on the way home? That 1 hour workout could turn into 2 to 3 hours in terms of a block of time, depending on what it actually is that you need to do around that training session. So when you're doing that, when you're planning those sessions and you're blocking that time out, make sure that you're really remembering that and you're not just blocking out an hour, because if you're not doing this properly, you'll end up not doing it at all. So what I would actually suggest that you all do before you start blocking out blocks of time in terms of the things that you want to be doing to get to your goals, I would firstly block out the times where you've definitely got things going on which you can't avoid. So maybe there's, special occasions going on, festive parties, work parties, birthdays, I don't know, whatever else you might have going on. There might be some baby showers going on. There might be a hen do going on, like who knows? There could be anything, but anything specifically in terms of social occasions, make sure you're blocking those out first so that you can really see everything else where you've got some spare time. Not spare time. I don't like to use that word, spare time. It's not really spare time. Free time, which you can use as you wish. So just take a look at everything that you've got going on, in your life between now and the end of the year and into the beginning of 2025. Make sure you've got your time blocked out. Make sure you've really got everything in your diary, which is going to help you as much as possible so that you can stay on track as much as possible. Because if it's not written down, especially for me, if it's not written down, it's probably not going to happen. And make sure you continue to do this, as time goes on. You're going to start getting invites to more things over these next few weeks, and just make sure you keep adding to that so that nothing gets forgotten and nothing gets pushed to the side. Let's now move on to talk a little bit about our food and nutrition strategies and also our alcohol strategies for those of you that do drink. I do like a little drink here and there. I used to like a big drink often, but I'm not like that at all anymore. I've really kind of changed my habits up, and I don't really enjoy alcohol that much anymore. Every time I've been drinking lately, I say over the last kind of like 6 to 12 months, don't get me wrong, I have the odd occasion where I do enjoy a little bit of a blowout, but generally speaking, I'll have 1 or 2 drinks and I'm like, oh, this doesn't even feel good, which is a great place to be in, I think, because I never thought I'd see the day, if I'm totally honest. Those of you that do like to drink and that do find this time of year, particularly challenging, I'm going to do my best to try and, help you manage that a little bit better. So the first thing that I want you to actually be aware of, and the first thing that I want you to decide, is what is your goal around all of this stuff, around your food, around your nutrition, around how you want to feel, around your body, your physical feeling, your physical appearance. What is your goal around that specifically over this next 8 weeks? Are you somebody that wants to maintain your weight? Are you somebody that wants to lose weight? Are you currently on a journey to gain some weight? Like, figure out exactly what you actually want to achieve over this next 8 weeks. Now, some of you might be listening to this and thinking, well, yeah, I want to lose weight, but there's no way that I can do that in December with Christmas and with that party and this party and with everything that's happening. That is not true. Okay? I'm telling you that as a fact. That is not true. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve, but you have to plan for it. You have to be prepared to work around the social occasions that are definitely going to be happening and everything else that comes with this time of year. But I promise you, if you are prepared and if you do have an action plan in place, you can 100% achieve your goals. No one can stop you doing that because this is all in your control, and that's something that you really need to remember. As I was saying a second ago, once you figure out what your actual goal is surrounding your food, your drink, your nutrition, all of that stuff, you need to make sure that your calories are where they need to be on a regular basis. Now, there's so much crap online. More and more crap is filling our Instagram about doing this, about doing that, about taking this, about taking that, inject yourself with this, do that. Like, there is just so much shit that is literally consuming our minds on this topic. It's really, really frustrating to see so many people struggling on this topic because they're making it so much more complicated than what it needs to be. If you want to maintain your weight, you need to be eating the same amount of calories as what you're currently eating, generally. If you want to lose weight, you need to drop that down a little bit. And if you want to gain weight, you need to add that up a little bit. It is that simple. Now, calories are one of those things where, yes, we want to be looking at them daily in general, but you can also look at them weekly. And this is something which I encourage with a lot of my clients, because especially at this time of year when you have got social occasions going on, you have got a party here and you got to go there, it's really important to factor that in. And if you do still want to be having a good time, which I urge you all to be doing, you can still remain within your calorie goal over the whole week if you're looking at it over the whole week rather than just looking at it daily. So rather than saying, right, you know what, I need to have 1,900 calories today, every single day, and that's it. If I go over it, I failed. Like, that's not how we want to be thinking. If you want to be having 1,900 calories a day, look at what the total of that is over the whole week. And then just factor in where you're having your meals out so that you can give yourself a little bit more wiggle room by letting yourself have more calories on those days. Now, it's not about being obsessed with calories. I never want anybody to be in that situation where they're looking at their calories all the time and becoming obsessed with it. Like, that's not what it's about. But if you want to lose weight and you want to, if you're on some sort of weight loss journey, it is something that you need to consider at the beginning, at least, just to get your head around exactly what it is that you are consuming. Because if you've got no idea what you're consuming, how are you supposed to know what you should or shouldn't be eating in terms of the amount? You need to know. You have to get your head around that. So whenever I start working with anybody on a one-to-one basis in terms of all of this stuff, we look at their calories, we figure out what they should be having in order to reach their goal. And then after 3-4 weeks, maybe a little bit longer sometimes, depending on how quickly you kind of get into it, you'll be able to know by looking at your plate going how many calories you're consuming. And that's where you want to be. Say for example, this weekend, you're going out and you've got, you're going out for dinner on Thursday and you're going out for dinner on Friday. Look at the menu in advance as well. That is a massive tip. I still do that to this day, mainly because I'm just a bit nosy and I like to know what I'm eating. But look at the menu in advance. Most menus these days have the calories that are on there. And it's actually, I'm so grateful actually that restaurants have done that now, because they never used to. And it's crazy, like some of the amounts of calories that we're consuming in some of these meals where we go out, you would have no idea that was the amount. Like, you might look at a Caesar salad and be like, oh yeah, that's got to be mega low in calories, when actually it's maybe got around 800 to 850 calories because of all the sauce and all of the things that the chicken is cooked in. And, it's not just a Caesar salad, which people think, oh, it's a salad, it's going to be healthy. You actually might be better off having the grilled chicken breast burger, which might be roughly the same amount of calories, but may have more protein within it because the amount of chicken that you're getting within that chicken breast in comparison to the salad. There's so many different things that you want to be aware of, but just looking at that menu in advance is a really, really great starting point to figure out what you're going to choose, what you're going to have, and just make sensible decisions, make mindful decisions, and then you can treat the rest of your week in accordance. Is that even a word? Accordance? I think it is. Let's go with it. In accordance to the rest of that week, including your meals out. Okay, so that's why it's really great to look at your overall weekly calories as well. Even if you're just doing this throughout the festive season to just help you stay on track, it's worth doing. Other than our calories, which, as I've said, is important, the next thing I want you to look at, which is just as important, if not more important, I'm even going to go as far to say, it's the types of food that you are eating. Our gut health is so, so, so important. And it's really, really important that we're eating the foods which are nourishing for our gut and helping us feel our best. Our gut is literally our second brain, like literally. So if you're eating shit, you're going to feel like shit. I'm pretty sure, like I can definitely speak for myself here, and I'm pretty sure many of you would agree with me. If I eat a load of junk food, if I go and have a McDonald's, if I go and have, I eat some crisps and some chocolate and, have one of those days or one of those evenings or whatever, which we all do. If I do that, I generally, either the next morning or even not straight away, don't feel so good. My mood drops, my mood is lower. I'm not my usual happy, chirpy self. Like I really, really notice that difference in how I'm feeling. And that's no surprise, seeing as our gut is our second brain. So if I'm feeding my gut shit, my brain is going to turn to shit, literally. So we have to be so aware. And another thing just around our gut health, our guts are so unique to us. And this is another thing which I just want to I want to raise your awareness on in terms of what you see on social media. Like, there's so many influencers and people these days who are promoting all these different supplements and all these different, take this for your gut health, do this for your gut health. And actually, your gut microbiome is so unique to you that, first of all, unless you actually go and have a gut intolerance test, a food intolerance test, a gut microbiome test, unless you've actually done that stuff, everything that you're hearing in terms of recommendations from other people is totally irrelevant, because whatever those ingredients are may not necessarily agree with your gut, first and foremost. You know, I've had all of the tests done. I work very closely with a lady called Calorie, who's also a really great friend of mine. She's actually going to be coming onto the podcast very soon. But she runs a fantastic gut health clinic here in Bedford. Her brand is Eliminate and Elevate. And I've started my journey with my gut health. Well, I've started my journey. I thought I started my gut health journey about 6 years ago. With specific products that I used to be working with. And actually, what I learned that after about a week of working with Kelly is that a lot of the stuff that I was previously doing was actually counteractive for the results I actually wanted. And that's why it's so important to just go and see a specialist, go and see a professional. You know, there's so much information out there online where everyone thinks that they know everything about everything, with no qualifications, with no actual background research in that, you know, in that specific area. And, you know, I used to be the perfect person. I was like a marketer's dream, where I would see something, and if it's like, this will help you lose weight, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go buy that. Like, I was the marketer's dream for stuff like that. And I know that there's so many people out there who are like that at the moment, and will continue to be like that, because we all, when we're at a place where we want to lose weight, where we want to do this, where we want to do that, we become desperate. So the minute that anyone throws anything in our face or dangles that little carrot in front of us and is like, you know, this is going to cure your problems, we're like, okay, give me more, you know. So just be aware of it. And if you are somebody that is suffering with, you know, you think you might have some gut health issues. You know, if you're suffering from bloating, tiredness, fogginess, lack of energy, feeling sick, you know, there's so many things that are relating to our gut. And a lot of the time, you just need to cut out a couple of things which you're either intolerant to, or for whatever reason it might be that it's not agreeing with your particular gut. Just go and see a specialist. So I've gone off track there a little bit, but I just think during this festive season, you're going to see a lot more. Our Instagram feeds are literally inundated with stuff like this, but you'll probably see more of it between now and New Year, and particularly after Christmas into January, where people are going to be claiming that they can help you do X, Y, and Z with their product, with their supplements. And just be aware that you should probably go and see an actual specialist before you start buying into all these online things that you're seeing. But I'll save that for when Kelly comes onto the podcast and she can tell you everything in a lot more detail, but I just wanted to touch on that. Okay, let's actually talk about the big day. So let's talk about Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the actual Christmas parties as well that are coming around it. Now, I want you to enjoy yourself. I really want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to go and have fun, but you can still do that without being outrageously excessive. It's possible, okay? You can have your 3-course meal at the work Christmas party, but then if you've got 2 other occasions where you're going out that week, you don't necessarily have to have the 3 courses and the 5 glasses of champagne at every single occasion. Pick your one, decide that that's when you're going to do it, and on the other times, just rein it in just a little bit. Not saying don't eat anything at all. Have your 2 courses rather than 3. Have your 2 glasses of champagne rather than 5. Instead of having a dessert every single time you go out, have your green tea, have a coffee, like whatever. Just rein it in a little bit, because I promise you can still have a really great time just by reining it in a little bit. And when you're going to these Christmas parties and you're having your canapes and your canapé receptions, like, have 5 or 6 canapes. Don't have 25. You know, like, we can control these things, guys, and we can make sensible decisions. You know, I have been that person about 6 years ago, where I was on such a like, I need to get into this amount of shape, I need to look like this, I want to weigh this. Like, I became a bit obsessive over this at one point. And I went to a very big family celebration and I didn't touch any alcohol. I hardly ate anything that was on the menu, and I was fucking miserable. And I'm not saying that you need to drink alcohol to have a good time. I'm not saying you need to eat the whole thing, everything, to have a good time. But what I'm trying to get across here is that I have been that person who has gone to social situations where I should have just been in the present moment and I should have just enjoyed myself, and I shouldn't have been so obsessive over something that actually was not important on that day. And I don't want you guys to ever fall into that trap. You know, like, if you're spending time with your family, if you're spending time with your friends, if you're spending time with people on these special occasions, making memories, be present and just enjoy it. Don't be, you know, on Christmas Day, don't be counting every single calorie on Christmas Day, you know? Whilst I've said to you, be mindful of your overall calorie intake, there are certain things where you have to just relax and just chill the fuck out, because you're only here once. You are only here once. You're here to make memories. You're here to live your life. You're here to spend time with your loved ones, especially at this time of year as well. You know, it's a special time of year. Just enjoy it. And as I said, you can enjoy it without being outrageously excessive, okay? Make mindful decisions, enjoy the food, enjoy the drinks, and don't beat yourself up over it. And if you do become outrageously excessive, get over it. Tomorrow's a new day, okay? You can do your absolute best to not be excessive, but if you are, it's really, really not the end of the world. You can wake up the day after and we go again. That's honestly, that is one of the tips which I give to all of my clients, whether that's mindset related only or fitness and weight loss related. If we have a day where things don't necessarily go to plan, it really does not matter. We wake up the next day and we go again. And just a little tip actually around Christmas Day specifically, really fill yourself up on veggies. Like, I don't know about you guys, but my mum makes so much food on Christmas Day, and she makes like the best Christmas dinner, but there's so much food. Like, there's so much food, so many vegetables, like literally everywhere. So just fill your plate up with loads of veggies, because that's going to fill you up firstly, and you're going to be filling yourself up with actual goodness. Veggies are rich in fiber. That's going to help you feel fuller. It's going to help you feel fuller for longer. If you have loads of the turkey, loads of the veggies, and then a bit of the other stuff, that's going to help you feel fuller for longer. It's going to avoid you feeling like shit and having that, you know, when we have a bit of a carb overload or a sugar overload and we have a bit of a hangover on that, not even an alcohol hangover, a food hangover, that's going to avoid that. So that's just a little tip. Just get as many veggies on that plate as you can, and it's going to really, really help you. Another tip just around mindfulness when it comes to your eating, and just some top tips around your food over this period of time. Listen to your body. You know, when you're feeling hungry, sometimes we're actually thirsty. So if you've recently had a meal or you've recently had a snack and you're suddenly thinking, oh, I'm still really hungry, or oh, I randomly now feel really hungry again, go have a drink. Go drink a big glass of water. Go and have some form of liquid and hydrate yourself, and just see how you feel after that, because a lot of the time our body thinks we're hungry when actually we're just thirsty. So not saying go and down a bottle of wine if you're feeling thirsty, but go and have some water, or, you know, whatever, just go have a drink and see how you're feeling after that before making that decision that actually you want to have something else to eat. Another thing is just stop eating when you're full. You know, I think a lot of us have grown up, and this is a whole other topic for a different day. A lot of us have grown up being told that it's rude not to finish what's on your plate. And because of that, even when we're full, we just keep going and keep going and keep going, when actually we probably should have stopped about 10 minutes ago. And it takes around 20 minutes for our bodies to figure out if we're full or not. So the minute you start feeling a little bit full, you should really stop there. But we tend not to do that. We tend to just keep going until we make ourselves feel sick. And we don't want to be doing that. So just be mindful of that. Don't just eat for the sake of it, especially when you're out and about and you're at these, these festive occasions and social occasions. If there's food there, sometimes we want to just eat it because it's there, not because we actually want to. So yeah, we want to do our best to avoid doing that. There's another tip around this is to just stay hydrated. You want to be having at least 2 to 3 litres of water a day. That is going to help you feel fuller throughout the day, obviously, as well as keeping you hydrated, which is so important. And lastly, on the food stuff, just enjoy treats, enjoy the naughty bits and bobs, but in moderation. Like I said already a few times, moderation, balance is key. Choose your favorite treats, enjoy them now and then. Don't have every single mince pie every single day. Don't have every box of chocolates every single day. Pick a few things here and there, enjoy them, and then go back to your healthy goals and the things that you want to be doing to help keep you on track during this time. Enjoy your treats in moderation, but the majority of the time, make those mindful, sensible decisions. Now, let's talk about alcohol. Good old alcohol. Now, not only is over drinking not good for our overall well-being, it makes us feel crap mentally as well. But I also think that people forget the amount of calories that are actually in alcohol, especially if you're somebody who is on a journey when it comes to their weight loss or weight management. You really have to be aware of this. There are so many cocktails specifically which have hundreds and hundreds of calories in them. And if you are somebody that is trying to lose a bit of weight or even just trying to maintain your weight and not gain anything over this period, you're gonna have to really be aware of what you're consuming, not just cocktails, your wine, your beers. These add up. And if you are somebody that likes a drink and goes out and has 5+ drinks, you're looking at thousands of additional calories a day. And over a period of 3 or 4 weeks, that is going to really show up. So just be aware of that. Have a look at what you're drinking and just make sensible decisions surrounding that. So a few top tips just around that is, number 1, set some limits. Set your limits in advance. So before you go to any event, set your limits. Decide before the event how much alcohol you're going to drink and stick to that decision. Okay? This is actually a theme surrounding your overall mindset, not only during the festive season, but in general. Making a decision and sticking to it is something which I'm going to talk a lot about on this podcast. I've already spoken about this before in previous episodes. But if you can make a decision and you can stick to that decision, your goals are going to show up a hell of a lot quicker than if you're somebody that just makes a decision and changes their mind 5 minutes later. Like, you have to practice that decision-making muscle. You have to practice that willpower muscle. Just like going to the gym and training, the more you practice doing something, the stronger that muscle is going to get. So you have to really stick to things, okay? And that's one of the biggest challenges when it comes to mindset in general, because it's not as easy as it sounds. There's a lot of work that needs to be done around that in terms of your internal programming, in terms of your subconscious mind. Like, there's so many things which you need to dig into to figure out why you don't stick to your decisions and why you change your mind all the time and why you don't know whether that's right or that's wrong. Like, there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done. That is what I help my one-to-one mindset clients with. That's what I do. I teach people how to reprogram their mind so that they can actually create their desired reality rather than having this reality that they're not happy with. So practice making those decisions and stick to them. So another tip around alcohol is to alternate your drinks with water. Not only is that going to help you stay hydrated, but that will literally slow down your alcohol consumption. So that's always a winner. And just going back to the calories in terms of your drinks, there are some obviously lower calorie options. You've got your light beers, you can mix your wine with a lemonade, have a white wine spritzer, have a spirit with some soda water. Spirits are actually the best in terms of calories. They're minimal. I think vodka is literally like minimal calories. But then you've got your high sugar options, which a lot of people go for specifically at this time of year. Your cocktails, your cream-based liqueurs, your sweet wines, your frozen blended drinks, cider. You know, a pina colada, there's around 300 to 400 calories in a pina colada. In an espresso martini, you're looking at around 200 calories. Now, I love an espresso martini, but I will only ever have one, maximum two. Firstly, otherwise I just cannot sleep. But also because I'm very aware of that, you know. And if I am out and I'm having a cocktail, I might want another couple of drinks. I'm going to be mindful around those decisions that I'm making around those drinks. Another tip around this is you could actually offer to be the designated driver. And I think this is a really great one, because this is literally going to just stop you from drinking at all. And you're going to wake up the next day feeling absolutely incredible and feeling so much better because you haven't had anything to drink at all. And that is the ultimate goal, really, feeling your best, right? So if you can manage that, and if you want to, you know, take that upon yourself to do that, I 100% recommend doing that. And lastly, have something to eat before you drink your alcohol. Having something to eat will actually slow down the absorption of the alcohol within your bloodstream. And that's just going to help you feel fuller whilst you actually drink as well. So that's another little top tip that will stop you drinking as much. And I just want to talk about the impact that alcohol has on anxiety, because this is a massive, real thing, especially the day after, where we often experience anxiety. Alcohol, yes, at the time can, you know, often make us feel more relaxed and de-stressed. So in that particular moment, sometimes it seems like a good idea. But the day after, and even days after, I know for me, it takes at least 3 days. Like if I was to go out on a Saturday and I have not even loads of drinks, say I have 4 drinks, it will take me, if I go out on a Saturday, it will take me until about Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, to wake up in the morning and feel my normal fresh self. That's ridiculous. And alcohol is literally a depressant. That's what it is. You know, we really mustn't forget that. And when we drink alcohol, not only is it a depressant, it dehydrates us, which means it affects our sleep, it affects our hydration levels, and it actually changes the neurotransmitter levels in our brain. Of course, it's so important to enjoy ourselves, and it's so important to, you know, have a couple of drinks if we want to. Like, as I said at the start of this episode, I'm not here to tell you not to drink alcohol. I'm not that person. But it's just really important to be aware of the negative effects that it does have on our brain, on our mind, and in turn, our life. Okay? Because whatever's going on up here is having a direct effect, and it's going to show up as a reflection in our reality. And especially if you are somebody that does have tendencies of feeling depressed or anxious, probably something you want to stay away from. So just to finish off, I'm just going to give you a bit of a summary of my top tips in terms of your mindset during the festive season. So number 1, set sensible expectations. This time of year doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to be as good as you want it to be in terms of your goals. So that goal setting exercise, which we did at the start, which I want you to, you know, think about a little bit more once you've stopped listening to this podcast, that's really, really going to help with that. Setting sensible expectations instead of chasing perfection is really going to help reduce your stress levels. It's going to give you a much more enjoyable experience during this period. Okay, so really, really recommend that. Number 2, focus on what matters the most. You know, identify and prioritize what really, really matters the most to you during this period, whether that's spending time with loved ones, whether that's creating meaningful connections, whether that's simply enjoying the festive season and doing the things that you love to do the most. You know, focus on what matters to you and just do it. Whatever is your priority, whatever is going to make you feel your best, go with it. Number 3 is embrace flexibility. Be flexible and open to change. That's something which is just relevant to life in general as well. You know, plans may shift, unexpected events might pop up. Just remember that you can be adaptive. It's important to be adaptive. And if you need to change certain things, that's okay. Just make sure that if you have to be adaptive in terms of, I don't know, something comes up and you can't go to the gym, and that's one of your 3 sessions that week that you've promised yourself you're going to get in, because you need to do those 3 to achieve your goals, just do your best to try and get that session in somewhere else so that you can stay on track with what you've set out to achieve. Number 4 is around boundaries. So make sure you're creating boundaries, you're establishing healthy boundaries. Remember to say no when you want to say no. Don't feel like you have to say yes to everything, because you absolutely do not. And you also don't owe anybody an explanation about anything. You know, if someone invites you somewhere and you simply don't want to go, it's not their business why that is. If you don't want to go, you just say, I'm really sorry, I can't make it. Someone that's a good friend, somebody that loves you and cares about you won't even question that. They'll just go, oh, okay, that's such a shame. Wish you were here, but totally understand. That's what somebody who cares about you, that's what their response will look like. So, you know, if you come across somebody that starts to make you feel like shit about the fact that you're not going somewhere, time to look at that friendship, time to look at that relationship. And just, have a look at that, because some boundaries definitely need to be set. This period of time is about you looking after yourself as well. So don't fall into that trap of having to look after everybody else and yourself falling to the bottom of the pile. Number 5 is try and be as present as much as possible. Okay? Have some off-screen time. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb now and then. Do that as much as you can, and just take some time out to do some mindfulness work, you know, whether that is just doing a little bit of journaling, getting a 5-minute meditation in, going for a long peaceful walk on your own with no headphones. Like, there are so many things that you can do to just take some time out for yourself. And during the festive season, this, in my opinion, is one of the most vital times that you get that stuff in, because you're going to need it the most. You're going to be around a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of energy. There's going to be, especially if you're an empathic person like myself, people's energy, you're just going to be seeping it all in, and you're going to feel exhausted. You're going to be feeling other people's moods. Like, you need to take that time out to refill your cup. And this time of year is so important to do that. Another little tip, which I really love, specifically at this time of year, is give back. What acts of kindness can you do to give back? Can you do any volunteer work? Can you take part in any charitable events? Can you donate to a food bank? Can you help the homeless? You know, there's so many things which you could potentially do, which I just think this time of year is such a beautiful time to do that. You know, there are so many people who haven't got families, who are totally on their own, who, yes, this time of year for many of us is a really lovely special time, but for some people they dread this time of year every single year because it's just horrendous for them. So what can we do to help those people? And I think that's a really powerful one. Like, what can you do to give back? And my last tip is stay connected. Really embrace the meaningful connections that you do have with loved ones at this time of year. You know, if you are fortunate enough to be spending time with those people, embrace it. You know, create those memories, prioritize quality time with those people, book things that you can do if you can, like go and see things, go and see new places, go and, you know, none of this stuff has to cost lots of money either, you know. Go find somewhere where you can go for a walk all together. There's so many things that you can do. Just be present and spend as much time with those people as you can, because time is so precious. So those are my top tips surrounding staying focused during this time of year. I hope you found that episode useful. As I have said earlier in the episode, if I can help you with absolutely anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I have opened up my mindset coaching spaces for next year. If you'd like to be added to the waiting list, and if you've got any inquiries or any questions about anything in terms of how I can help you, please do let me know. Drop me an email, drop me an Instagram message. I would love to get back to you and we can have a little chat. And just before I finish, I just want to ask you a little question, which I want you to think about. And that question is, what are you going to do for yourself this festive season to help you feel your absolute best? Make sure you drop me a DM on Instagram and let me know what your answer is. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you have subscribed, liked, followed, shared with everyone. I will be so grateful. And I look forward to catching up with you guys very soon. Take care.